Have a night, iTube. It's Abla, and today I just wanted to make a quick video about the male role in the birthing space and what it looks like currently, what different traditions look like, and ancestrally what it looks like, and like how do we get to where we're at today with the male role in the birthing space, because birth and birthing space used to be a place of feminine initiation, so to speak, through feminine energy. And today we see a lot of times that, first of all, to have a birth outside of a hospital is a feat already, because hospitals are a new thing, but it seems that our minds are so easily colonized that hospitals have somehow become the norm, and having a home birth is outside of the norm, which just shows, because hospitals are fairly new, and that just shows how easily the power is taken from persons when they don't know they have power, right? So to have a birth outside of the hospital is a feat in itself. And then to take it a step further, these home births should involve sisterhood, because I see a lot of times that the males actually playing a large role in the birthing spaces these days. And just a disclaimer, I don't want to take away from, or I don't want to take away from anyone's partnerships and unions that have completed home births together, because that's beautiful, that's wonderful, and that's also still powerful. And it's needed. We've come to a point where sometimes that's needed for the male to be sort of a facilitator and the guidance and the helping hand during within a birthing space. It's needed. So I don't want to take away from that. I don't want anyone to feel disrespected, because it's wonderful if you're able to do that and able to have a home birth, a natural birth that involves your male counterpart, right? I don't want to take away from that. But as an addition, we need sisterhood, right? As an addition, we need family, because traditionally you have your mother and you have your grandmother and you have your aunt and your sister and you have your husband's mother and his grandmother and his sisters and things of that sort. But today we turn 18, maybe we even turn 16, and we run out the house. So and it leaves us without this community and this family that is so important, and so important in a space like birth. So important in a birthing space to have that community and that sisterhood. And it's even deeper. I wish I could find a word deeper than sisterhood, because the bond between mothers and grandmothers is deeper than just something that we would label as sisterhood. It's like wisdom. It's like an ancient wisdom, like a quiet knowing that will cover you in that space, that feminine knowing that covers you when you're in a birthing space. And it's shared by blood when you have mothers, grandmothers, sisters, things like that. So sisterhood is very important, something like a birthing space. And the male is not to be so relied on in that space. Like I said, it's about a feminine instinctual knowing and a feminine link with the highest I. It's not about control, it's about surrender, which is feminine. Surrender, it's about an ultimate surrender when you're in a birthing space. So yes, like I said, I don't want to take away from males in the birthing space, but as an addition, because of where we're at now in the world, as an addition, and to allow the male to be in the role he is meant to be, which is a spiritual cover, spiritual protection, guidance, leadership. During this time of surrender, during a woman's time when she's birthing and she's surrendering to the highest I, the male is spiritual, still spiritual cover, the spiritual head. But within that space, we need females. We need our sisterhoods. We need community of females who are intrinsically linked to each other and to the highest I, so that we can not so much guide each other, even, because like I said, it's about a surrender to the highest I, surrender to design. Surrender really is what occurs in the birthing space. Not so much to guide, but to hold, to hold space for the birthing female, to provide that feminine energy and to provide that feminine reassurance as the birthing woman surrenders, and to provide a warmth in that space, because surrender, especially coming out of the world, surrender can be hard, although it is very simple. Like we always say, it's simple, but it can be hard. It's not something that's easy at all. So I just wanted to bring up the importance of sisterhood and females in the birthing space, and the importance of having not a helping hand, a holding hand while you surrender in the birthing space. That yes, males have stepped up to the plate because we've been displaced from our communities. Many males have stepped up to the plate and taken that role. Although it's not the same, they have helped to facilitate many natural births and things like that, which is very beautiful. Like I said, I don't want to take away from that, but to reevaluate it, and as an addition, we need sisterhood. And like I said, it's deeper. It's a deeper word than sisterhood. I don't have a word to say because it's traditionally, it's like blood linked. If you are creating a community, you're then linked by the truth, and you can provide for others and have for yourself sisterhood and that feminine energy in the birthing space. And then it even goes deeper than the birthing space for our children that come up in our communities that we form, just as they're developing and maturing, things like that. But in the birthing space, although yes, males have stepped up to the plate because it's become necessary, I really believe that a feminine holding hand, not a helping hand, but a holding hand, feminine energy of reassurance and warmth, and that silent knowing that we have is very important in the birthing space, and which is why we need community. Another reason why we need community, because yes, the birthing female will have to surrender to the highest side. It's not something that anyone can just hold your hand through. You yourself, which yourself linked to the highest I, really need to surrender and just flow through it. So once you can do that, the presence of feminine energy just helps. That it's almost like a conductor. Like electricity is going to flow regardless, but some things are insulators and some things are conductors. So having that sisterhood around, that feminine energy, mothers, grandmothers, sisters, aunts, just community, your female community and feminine energy, that's a conductor during a time of birth, within a birthing space. That's a conductor of that surrender, of that flow of energy that occurs in a birthing space. Not saying a male energy is insulator, But it's definitely different, and we need to recognize that having these home births and things like that is beautiful and wonderful. And yes, like I said, I do not want to take away from males that have assisted in the birthing space, but I do want to add that we need our sisters, we need our mothers, aunts, we need that feminine energy to act as a conductor within the birthing space, act as a conductor as a birthing female surrenders, and that will allow everything to flow so much more effortlessly and simply, not easily, because of course birth is not something easy, but more simply. So yeah, that's just another reason why togetherness and sisterhood is so important and so necessary, especially within a birthing space. So traditionally, males actually don't belong within the birthing space. Like I said, they are the spiritual head, spiritual cover, yes, still. In the birthing space, though, what acts as a conductor as a woman surrenders is the feminine energy, because that helps the surrender to flow. It's not about control or anything of that sort. It's not a rigid energy. It's a flowing surrender. Yeah, traditionally males were not in the birthing space, and if they are, they're not in the way that they are today. Not in the way that they are today. Many cultures have a specific role for males within the process of birth that looks different than what it is today. The male might be even performing a ritual while the child is being born, because like I said, they are the spiritual cover, spiritual head. They are the head. Might be even performing a ritual as the child is being born, but they don't need to be what we see today. Like, and I don't want to say too much because I don't want to take away from anyone who has completed a beautiful natural birth without the system, with a male counterpart as their helper, because like I said, that is a feat in itself, but we also have to remember that the male is not the helper. So who do we really need in that space? And what is the role of the male during birth? And we can reconstruct that in our communities. But like I said, it's all about sisterhood, because the feminine energy in that birthing space is really a conductor. It's not about information and what you read on Google about birth and what different facts you can tell or say do this or you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do this. It's more so about holding space and being a feminine conductor for the birthing female. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that. And yeah, we're working on building community within the truth. So sisterhood is a big part of that, because we want that for our children. We want that for ourselves, of course. But as we're building, we have to embody that and become that, and then make it so that our children have access to that. Our daughters have access to that. I want to be there when my daughter is giving birth. I'm sure my mother and grandmother, even culturally, many African cultures, you have your mother and your grandmother and aunts and things there when you're giving birth. It's really in the system, quote unquote. You just run to the hospital, or sometimes people don't have time to be there when a woman is in a birthing space. So birth has become something robotic, just take some medicine, some drugs, and just do some incisions here and there, and it's done. But it's really a great surrender, and during that time of surrender, it's important to have feminine conductors in the space, in the birthing space. So yeah, traditionally men were not in the birthing space, or not how we see today. They would have a role during the time of birth, and maybe specific rituals are done, specific tasks, specific roles given to the male during that time of birth, but feminine energy is a conductor to that surrender for sure. Yep, we are working on that, building our sisterhood, like I said. So link all the eyes that can see, hopefully. Link with Seagold, because we want to provide that for ourselves and for future generations, right? Yeah. Just wanted to share that today. It was on my mind, the role of a conductor or an insulator in the birthing space, and how it's really surrender, and how there's just a great flow of energy during that time, which made me think of electricity and conductors and insulators. So yeah, cisterns are very important in the birthing space, and I hope that this will be well received, and the eyes I can see will cite this. So yes, I hope everyone has a blessed day. Guide eye.